Hello and welcome to the Herdline Podcast, hosted by Trace Johnson and the Herds Headset. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode where the Headset and Trace talk all things Marshall athletics. Be sure to follow us on X and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Now, sit back, relax, and let's talk the herd.
Welcome back to the Herdline Podcast. Trace and the Herds Headset with you as we're ready to do a pretty cool episode today. That we've been talking about doing this one for a couple weeks now, or more than that, possibly. This is going to be a nice kind of fun and it's going to be interactive because we're going to really lean into the social media aspect to see what you all think about our teams after they're picked, and then you all could come up with your own teams if you want, of course. But this is going to be a really cool episode. We're going to be doing a 20-year Marshall football draft. Now, this is only looking from 2006 onward, so that excludes a lot of great players. And quite frankly, a lot of players that everybody would pick naturally. So this is going to make it a little not that we haven't had a lot of great players in the last 20 years, but it's going to make it a little more specific as to who we're picking. We're going to go over all the criteria, and I'll go over all that here soon. We'll kind of set the stage for what we're going to do. But before we start with that, how you been doing here, man?
Been doing good, and looking forward to this episode. We had been talking, and of course, we kind of got this idea from the superstar Joe Klatt, and we saw a video of him being able to kind of come up with his all 21st century team. So he didn't really do what we're doing. Of course, he went back way in the day, and we're able to get some of like the all-time legends of college football. And I mean, it was a very difficult thing for him to do. He had a short list of guys that he wanted and gave explanations as to, well, here's why I'm going to pick him and all that good stuff. So, we kind of like that idea, and we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. And so I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a lot of fun. And I'm also just looking forward to being able to win this draft. I know that the people are going to definitely be on my side, I'm sure, because of my just intellect and expertise. And so looking forward to get into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I said before we started this, man, whoever gets this first pick, and we are literally going to do this. I have a quarter in my hand right here. Okay, we're not doing an online random generator or whatever. No, I'm literally flipping a coin. Like it's going to be done right on the spot. But whoever gets that first pick is definitely, I think any Marshall fan over the last 20 years would know exactly who's going to be probably picked first. I don't know. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but it just seems like that's an easy pick. But with that being said, what we're going to do before I do any kind of coin flip or anything, this is how it's going to go down for us. We're picking one quarterback, one running back, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 5 offensive linemen. Defensively, we're picking 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, 2 safeties. And then for the specialists, we're picking 1 kicker, 1 punter, 1 kick returner, and 1 punt returner. And I guess if we wanted to just throw a long snapper out there, why not? I mean, we don't have that down technically as one of our things, but if we wanted to throw a long snapper, I'd be fine with that too. But regardless, it's ought to be very interesting to see these teams play out because we've done different things like this in the past where we've had you all kind of say who you think teams is better. And it's just fun kind of like interactive things to do. And now with football season gearing up, this is a good way to get into that, I think. So with that being said, here comes the coin flip. So we'll see how it goes here. Do you want to be heads or you want to be tails?
Headset always chooses heads.
Oh, I shouldn't even ask that, of course. All right, your heads, I'm tails. So here we go. I'm going to I was going to let it hit the thing so y'all could hear it. Well, it didn't really work either. Hold on. Heads.
That's right.
Take it away.
So, first category here that we're going to be picking is quarterback. And looking over the last 20 years, I think there's only really one pretty clear-cut choice that we need to make here. Legend, and is somebody that, I mean, just holds a lot of the top passing records here in just a career at Marshall. And I'm choosing number 12, 2011, all the way to 2014, Rakeem Cato as my quarterback. And, man, off to a good start already. 14,079 passing yards in his career, overall with the Thundering Herd, and 131 touchdowns as well. So both of those are career leading at Marshall. So, not too bad of a first round pick, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get any better than that. I mean, all these other positions are kind of, you could kind of say they're interchangeable with based on the talent levels, but clearly this one's the one exception because he's one of the GOATs of all time. I mean, if you want to say, I mean, you could easily say the GOAT depending on, your own opinion, but I mean, statistically he is, and that's a big statement talking about some of the quarterbacks we've had in the past. So, Cato's an excellent pick right there. First pick. He was going to be my first pick. He was going to be your first pick. He's going to be everybody's first pick. I mean, it's just called like it is. It's obvious. So great pick there. As far as my quarterback goes, man, I have really been thinking about this one because I just had a feeling I was not going to get the first pick. I don't know why, but I've been thinking about this one a lot, and we've had some good quarterbacks in the last 20 years, excluding Cato. But, man, the drop-off is pretty significant, in my opinion, obviously. But I think the guy that I'm going to go with is actually on roster now. I'm going to go with Carlos Del Rio Wilson. I just think that he's a really good player for us. I think that he's going to have a huge year this year. I really do. I expect big things. He had a really good year last year, and I think that's going to be even better this year. And now he's got a full year under his belt, complement of players back, a lot of returning starters, a lot of good players that he will have at his disposal. I like his chances a lot this year. I mean, you could have said a lot of different guys there. You could have said Bernie Morris. You could have said Chase Litton. You could have said Grant Wells. Could have said Braylon Braxton if you wanted to, conference championship quarterback. But I just went with Del Rio Wilson because I think he's as good, if not better than any of those guys. I really do. So that's my number one pick for quarterback right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're pretty on point. I mean, like you said, there's some options. Chase Litton, of course, is somebody that, is up there. Definitely an honorable mention in this list. And I hate to almost say it, but it's honestly true. Braylon Braxton the couple years ago was an incredibly talented quarterback and somebody that we all thought was going to make some big noise here. So, but I think that I would tend to agree with you. I think out of everybody that Carlos has the most upside. Now, if you're just going to pick Litton from that pre-Akron injury,
right,
differently, but you never know what you'll get with him. So, but yeah, good pick. And we didn't talk about this earlier, but I think that this would be fair. Of course, I got the first pick, and that would mean that I would kind of have the first selection in a couple different categories. What if we did a snake draft here? So instead of me picking first with running back, I'll gladly defer it to you. That way it's a little bit more fair, and we can kind of go back and forth that way if you're okay with that.
Sure, absolutely. I'm good with anything at this point. From this point on, oh man, the cupboard's very, very full at all these positions. So that's good with me. I like that.
Yep.
Go ahead and take it.
Running back. Yeah.
All right, I'll take it. So my running back pick, and man, this is another position where we have just feasted, absolutely feasted over the last 20 years. And I hate even leaving any of these players off of here because they've all just been such great players for us, such great dominant forces for us at running back. A lot of these guys have made an impact and are making an impact now in the NFL. So it's like, man, it's hard. But I'm going to just go with the one that you're probably going to automatically think of when you think of running backs for the last 20 years, that big Ahmad Bradshaw. It's hard to not take him if he's available. I mean, you got so many other guys that I would have been perfectly happy to have taken as well. I mean, totally happy to take a lot of these other guys. But, man, he was special for sure. What he did in the pros was special. Super Bowl champion 2 times over. Led both of those Super Bowls in rushing yards. I mean, just a great player, for a long time. So and he was a very, very prominent member of the herd for a number of years there. So that's my running back. I don't think you can go wrong with him at all.
Yeah, no doubt. And that would have been my pick if I had the first selection there. Man, this is a tough one, I'm going to be honest, because when you go down the list here, there is some really, really solid players that we have at running back over the years. My mind can go to guys like really Devin Johnson. I mean, just a force, was really a key contributor to that Conference USA championship because he kind of balanced out Cato's, gunslinging and whatnot, was able to kind of rear things back in. So, I mean, he's definitely an option and is up there. You can talk about Darius Marshall. I mean, he was just a phenomenal guy. Came right after Ahmad Bradshaw on a team that did not have really any passing game of any note, and still was able to just have a tremendous career. You could go Rasheen Ali, the best running back that we've seen within the last couple years or so by far. Kalen Laburn, he's my personal favorite running back of all time. But for my pick, I am going to do something that's a little bit outside of the box here. I don't have anything kind of premeditated. I just have a list of players where I think of I'd like to maybe consider. And so I'm going to pick Brendan Knox as my running back. He, of course, was just phenomenal. At this time, he ranks 8th in all-time rushing yards at Marshall. And here's something that really kind of sold me on him. He did so with only 3 years here at Marshall.
Yeah.
All these other guys that you see in the top 10, they would have spent at least 4 seasons with the Herd, except for Jackie Hunt, which, again, Jackie Hunt played back in the day whenever, guys didn't even train. They didn't even lift weights.
Right.
They just went out there after working a 9 to 5 and played some ball. But yeah, Brendan Knox has 2,852 rushing yards in his overall career. And in a single season, his best year was 2019 with 1,387 yards. And I mean, hey, he's somebody that I think is just kind of overrated or underrated, I should say, and overlooked by a lot of fans. The best game he ever had was against Florida Atlantic in 2019, where he rushed for 220 yards. I mean, he had the ability just to go off at any moment.
Yeah.
And so I know that might be a little controversial. Some people may have gone a different way, but man, I just can't help myself. I like this Brandon Knox, and so he'll be my running back one.
Oh man,
And
Brendan
then
Knox.
I guess it's my turn. Continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, good deal. So on to wide receiver. And again, this is another kind of just category where it's very difficult for us to choose and to pick. And looking at my list here, man, I mean, just some really awesome names, some guys that I just remember from back in the day. Also here recently, and I'm struggling with this one because I know in my heart what I should pick, and my heart also is telling me that I shouldn't pick it because I'm still mad at him to this very day. You probably are able to determine that if you've listened to our podcast before. He who shall not be named, but we'll name him for the sake of this particular podcast episode. I'm going to pick number 3, Aaron Dobson, for my running back, or my wide receiver, sorry. I loved Aaron Dobson whenever he was here. As a matter of fact, I mean, he's probably one of my favorite Marshall players in all of history because whenever I was just a kid really getting into Marshall football, he was one of the best players that we had, made the catch that we remember fondly. And so him and Rakeem Cato will be able to have that previous connections. That's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he would go on from here and play in the NFL for a few seasons, and he was drafted the 2nd round. Really just an overall fantastic player. Also coached here for a couple of seasons, and then when all of the controversy with Charles Huff took place, we know the rest. We know the results. He ducked town and decided to go down to Southern Miss. Now he is at Memphis as the wide receivers coach, and that still just kind of rips my heart out because I love that guy. And he was somebody that just embodied everything that Marshall had. But he followed, I guess, the opportunity that Coach Huff wanted to be able to give him. So instead of staying home, he's on to what he may consider greener pastures. It would take a lot for him, I think, to be able to come back one day, but I'll never rule anything out because in my heart, I want to forgive him, but I'll still be mad at him until he gives me any reason to forgive him. Both that being said, he's still a good player, so I'm going to pick him. So Aaron Dobson, my first wide receiver.
Yeah, it's a great player for us. Hate seeing him stick with Huff or all that, but I mean, I understand. in the back, like I understand it. Like he's the guy that hired him, so naturally he's going to want to stay with him. But man, it's like you're a Marshall guy. You went to Marshall, like it's one of those deals. So, but that notwithstanding, yeah, he's a great pick for sure. So my first receiver that I'm taking is just one of the greats really of all time. I mean, he's not the most talented player that they've ever had at receiver. He's not the most athletic. He's not the fastest, but man, he just caught passes. I mean, that's just the best one. Tommy Schuler. I mean, he just caught balls, man. It didn't matter. Nothing else mattered. The coverages didn't matter. How fast he was didn't matter. Didn't matter if he could burn a guy. Didn't matter if he could go and moss a guy. He just caught passes. A lot of passes. I believe he's probably number one all time in career receptions, if I'm not mistaken. He had 2 straight seasons of 100+ catches, and then his 3rd straight season, he had 92. So 92 catches is an off year for the guy. I mean, he was unbelievable. Had 20 catches for 200 some yards against Purdue in 2012. I remember that game really well. Just crazy. I mean, he absolutely owned the 5 to 10 yard area better than anybody I've ever seen from Marshall. And he had probably some of the best hands we've ever seen by far. It's just a little, just a small guy, man. Just like a, 5'10", 5'11", and $175, $180. It didn't matter. He gave the work to everybody. It didn't matter who it was. And yeah, obviously having the camaraderie with, with Cato, the guy you've played so many years with, helped. But man, Schuler was just so good. And he's probably, at least in my lifetime as a Marshall fan, the most dependable that I've ever seen at receiver for Marshall by far. So there's some other guys on this, that we could have picked from, and we still could pick from, that are more athletic, bigger, stronger, faster. But Schuler's something special. So that's my first pick. But as far as my second pick, you start to weed them out a little bit here, and it starts to get more difficult. And, I just talked about the fact that he's not the most athletic guy, and he's not the most top level athlete, but this next guy, you could say he kind of fits that mold at receiver. So the next guy that I'm going with is Tyree Brady. He was an absolute stud, absolutely just a dominant force there for a couple of years from 2017 to 2018. Just some of the best, two of the best individual seasons we've ever seen at receiver for Marshall. I always think back to that 2017 season where he lit up NC State, even though we lost the game. 240 some yards receiving, set the Carter Finley Stadium record for receiving yards. I don't know if it was overall or just for the opposing team, but he set a record. I mean, he was unbelievable. Absolutely just, freak athlete. Transferred from Miami, transferred from the U, and, he didn't have a whole lot of stats there, but man, he sure made it work at Marshall. And that was with a little bit of a quarterback. I mean, at that point, Marshall wasn't totally solid at quarterback. They were good, and Isaiah Green had his good moments, but he had some issues. And you look at Alex Thompson played some, so we weren't this wasn't the best quarterback situation we've ever seen. But man, Brady sure still made it work regardless. So that's who I'm going with as my next receiver, Tyree Brady. I mean, he was just an absolute stud.
Yeah, I'm a little mad at you because I probably would have picked him. So I don't love that for me, but yeah, I definitely understand that. He's one of the all-time greats, and really, whenever he was here, he's one of the only real playmakers that we had. So I mean, he was something else, that's for sure. Still on this wide receiver here, my next selection. I got Aaron Dobson on one side, big physical guy. And so I'm going to really match that. I'm going to give me another big physical guy for the other side of the field. And so I'm going to pick Corey Gamage.
Nice.
Corey Gamage spent 3 seasons here at Marshall. His best season, he had 878 receiving yards. And so, what makes him so unique to me was he was able to make some really big plays without having a very solid quarterback situation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was around the time of, was it the Fancher, beginning of Fancher, and also Columbia and different things like that. So,
And Wells.
and Wells too. Yeah, right. So,
Mm-hmm.
Wells was more consistent definitely than most, than really all of the other guys he played with. But, overall, he was able to make some noise here and was able to have some very solid outings, especially towards the back end of his career with some very inconsistent quarterback play. Really big, really physical, was quick, kind of like deceptively quick, I would say. And so I really, really liked him as a player. And so I'm going to take him as my other wide receiver on the other side of the ball there. And then I'm going to add one more receiver here to round up my receiving core. And so I'm going to go with the guy that was very recent. He wasn't somebody that was from a decade ago or anything like that. This was just actually last season. That is DeMarcus Lacey.
Oh,
And man, you want to talk about a playmaker. DeMarcus Lacey was that guy.
yeah.
He was Carlos's number one threat downfield, and he made just so many plays. They used him in motion and kind of gave him the ball almost like a running back from time to time. He was lethal, just beat guys on the outside, could make some plays on the inside as well. So I like my receiving core with Aaron Dobson, with Gamage, and then also here with Lacey. I think that gives me a little bit of versatility. Big guys that can go up and to catch some difficult passes, but also Lacey, I think, brings a little bit of speed and finesse that is much needed. And, man, I like my receiving core. I'm going to be honest. I like it.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say, Dobson was 6'2", 6'3", about 210, Gamage about 6'1", 6'2", 220. I mean, those are pretty big dudes. I mean, and Floyd Lacey, yeah, I mean, he wasn't like the biggest guy, but man, he was a burner, absolute burner. I wish he would have got another year. We'll save all that. We'll save all that for another episode. But yeah, that's a good receiving core right there, no doubt. So as far as my last receiver goes, I wrote down just a short list of possibilities before, so that way I would remember. But there's two guys left that I really wouldn't mind either one of them taking. But I think I'm going to go with the one that I'm looking at right now. I'm going to go ahead and go with, this was back during the Mark Snyder era. Talk about a burner, Darius Passmore. That was a burner. Oh, my goodness. That man was quick. I mean, he was absolute, and that's the time, like we talked about with a couple other guys, where we were not very potent on offense at all. But Darius Passmore was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the speed, the way that he could just, I mean, it didn't matter who he made plays against everybody. For 2 years that he was at Marshall, I think it was the 07 and 08, he was just lethal. I even remember them lining him up in the quarterback position. He did the wildcat, the racehorse formation stuff. He ran out of that, and he was a versatile player. I mean, he just, I think that's a nice compliment to a Tommy Schuler who dominates the slot. You got Brady and Passmore out there on the edges. Yeah, I think that's a really good receiving group. I think both of these receiving groups really good. I mean, I think they're really good. And Passmore could just flat fly. He's one of the fastest receivers, one of the fastest players, period, that I've ever seen come through Marshall. So that's my last receiver. So that rounds out all the receivers. Now, am I going for tight end, or are you going first for tight end?
You go tight end.
All right, you're gonna have to keep me on track here with the way we're drafting it. So as far as my tight end pick goes, loaded. This might be the most loaded position to pick from through this entire episode. Quite literally, might be the hardest one. But we've talked about him a lot on here, and we talked about how versatile he was and how just of a great player he was. And I'm going to go ahead and roll with Cody Slate here at tight end. I just can't. I mean, I can't in good conscience not pick him if I have the opportunity to, because, yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy that, could block, could run down the seam, could run go routes, could beat safeties, that he was very, very ahead of his time as far as like a versatile hybrid tight end for Marshall, and just in general, like he was very ahead of his time. One of the best players that we've ever seen at that position where we have been loaded at that position for so many years. He's one of the best, and he probably gets a little too slept on, I think. But I said it when we did an episode recently. I said that I don't know if I'm taking any Marshall tight end ever over Cody Slade. I think if he was in a better position than he was then, I think he's undeniably the GOAT Marshall tight end right now. But because he wasn't on a team that was very good at most of those years, and he had issues with his offense and quarterback play and stuff, he gets a little bit more slept on. But that's who I'm going with. Cannot pick against him.
Yeah, no doubt. I would have picked Cody Slade as well. He's an extra wide receiver. Let's just call it like it is. I mean, he played the tight end position, but he was so fast and just could burn people. It was unbelievable. I'm looking at his numbers for you here. Cody Slade's number 9 all time in receiving yards at Marshall, 2,619 as a tight end. That's just ridiculous. That just doesn't happen. He also ranks, let me see here, in receptions. He is number 7 all time with 199. So, I mean, he got a lot of looks. Just great pick. I would have picked him, and I'm really a little bit upset about that one. With that being said, man, this is tough because you mentioned this is such a loaded position. And I'm trying to think about, like, what is going to work best for my team. And I'm going back and forth. I don't know what I'm going to do because I just got to talk it through. I have Toby Payne on my short list. He's a great tight end, one of the best we've seen here. Really excited to see what he does this senior season. His career's not even finished. So that's great. But, I don't think that I can pick him in good conscience right now unless he just absolutely would have a all-time season this year. Yeah. So I'm really down to 2. Do I go big and heavy? That's going to be really the MO of my, outside receivers with Gamage and Aaron Dobson with Lee Smith. NFL tight end, was this a big dude, was able to block, could catch passes well, wasn't the fastest guy, but man, he was physical.
Yeah.
Or do I go with one of my quarterback's favorite options in Gator Hoskins? And he's kind of an anomaly player because he could block decently. Wasn't like he was terrible. It just wasn't really his main thing. But he was a very good receiving tight end as well.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just kind of thinking it through here. I like the Cato and Hoskins connection. I was there at the Military Bowl in 2013 whenever he caught the touchdown that was the go-ahead that basically sealed the deal. So I apologize to Lee Smith. I love the guy. And I mean, I'm not even really comfortable fully doing it, but I'm going to pick Gator Hoskins as my tight end to be able to get some more reps and to bring a little bit of speed out of the tight end position. He wasn't the fastest guy in the world, but he was able to get behind some of those middle linebackers and safeties from time to time. So I picked Gator Hoskins as my tight end here. And then moving on now, this is going to be a fun one because this is tough too. Our offensive line position. And I'm so glad that I've got the first pick here because there is somebody that he's honestly just one of my favorite players of all time at Marshall. I played offensive line whenever I was in high school and growing up, really. I was always a little bit bigger, so I never got to run the ball whenever I played football back in my playing days. And as a kid, I was like, all right, I'm never going to be like Ahmad Bradshaw or Darius Marshall or Cody Slade. So who can I kind of model my game after? Well, we had a guy on our roster back in those days named Doug Legursky, and the man was just phenomenal. The center of of our team here, and those of you that know football well, you know that the center is basically almost like a quarterback in itself on the offensive line. He's calling out blitzes, hey, watch that, watch this, all that good stuff. Very, very smart, very physical, would graduate from Marshall, of course, and then go and have a very, very great NFL career, and most notably with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And to make it even better, we're both West Virginia guys. So he's a native of Beckley, West Virginia. So easy pick for me. My number 1 offensive lineman there off the board is Doug Legursky.
That's a phenomenal pick, and he's one of the best, man. I mean, we've had a lot of great linemen, a lot of great centers, but man, he was a special one for sure. In-state guy, just a beast, absolute beast. So that's a great pick. He was definitely on my short list there. I no doubt about it. He was a great player. So my first pick, and this is going to be just well, it's going to be my center pick because he was very, very good at it. Chris Jaspers was excellent back in the day with Cato, and he that 2014 offensive line for Marshall was something special. It was legit. It was ridiculous how good they were, and he was really the anchor of it. I mean, he was really that guy, 4-year starter. 2011 through 2014. I mean, we saw him progressively just improve every year, and we saw how good it got in 2014. That was the perfect way to go out. So cannot go wrong with that pick right there. Chris Jaspers was an absolute beast. I mean, he just was. So you want me to am I going next?
Yeah.
All right. So now my next pick, I'm rolling with another one who was just a beast, absolute beast, Josh Ball. I mean, Josh Ball was something else. I mean, coming in from, I think he was at Florida State, if I'm not mistaken, to initially start Florida State. He was at a very high profile school to start with. He comes over for us for 2019 and 2020. And talk about another legendary offensive line. You talk about 2014, 2020. That offensive line, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And Josh Ball was a centerpiece of that. So I just cannot praise that line enough. Cannot say enough good things about that and about Josh Ball as a player. Ridiculous how good we were at O-line in those years. And that's why we were able to run the ball so well and have that much success. So that's my pick right there.
Yeah, great picks. And we've been really blessed with, as a university, be able to have some great offensive linemen there. So Josh Ball definitely was one of those guys that you remember and that you're going to put, a lot of stock in. As to my next pick, I'm going to get me a tackle here. Got my center under control. And so I'm going to go with Ethan Driscoll. Ethan Driscoll, just more of a recent player here, just graduated a couple seasons ago, now playing with the Kansas City Chiefs to this very day. And man, the guy was just a stud. I mean, he just was. Big guy, 6'8" overall, gives me a lot of length there. And that's exactly what you want in an offensive tackle for sure. Good feet work. And just overall, a fantastic player here at Marshall. So I'm going Driscoll. And then I'm going to do – oh, man, this is tough. This is a tough list. I think what I'm going to end up doing is this. I'm going to get me a guard now. So I've got my center, I've got my tackle, and now I'm going to put another guard here, and I'm going to take Dalton Tucker. And again, Dalton's another one of these NFL guys that was good enough to be able to leave Marshall and play at the next level. And he's now with the Indianapolis Colts at this present moment. Him and Tucker both were teammates, so that gives him a little bit of experience back and forth with each other there, so that's good stuff. And so, yeah, I like that one side of my line. I think we're getting somewhere. We can definitely at least run to one side of the ball. That's the good news. And so we'll have to see about the other side. But, yeah, I'll take Driscoll, and I'll also take Dalton Tucker as my next two offensive linemen here.
Those are excellent players, parts of great offensive lines. Again, I mean, we've been very, very lucky, like you said, over the last decade, 10, 15 years. We've been pretty dang lucky at offensive line, and this is just proof of that, how many great players we have to choose from here. So as far as my next pick, I'm going back to 2020 again. This was another centerpiece of that line, Kane Madden. I'm just saying it like that. There's nothing else that needs to be said. Kane Madden and Josh Ball, one of the best offensive line duos we've ever seen by far. Yeah, he ended up transferring. His grad transfer year, he went to Notre Dame that year. Kane Madden did, and I don't really know. I didn't really know how he did there. But the fact that he was able to go to Notre Dame just showed how good of a player and how respected he was. So that's definitely my guy right there that I'm going with. No question about it. He was a stud. Just a stud. So am I going to pick my next one real quick before we go? All right. So my next one, another bruiser, man, an absolute monstrosity of a man, Clint Van Horn. I mean, he was unreal. Again, there's no coincidence. For years, I have talked about 2014 and 2020. Those offensive lines, I've talked about them for years. It's no coincidence that all my linemen so far have been off of those teams because Clint Van Horn was something else. Absolutely just a monster of a man. I mean, could just move bodies like nobody's business. To the point of Devin Johnson rushing for 1,700 yards in 2014, to the point of all these, quarterbacks not even getting touched hardly. I mean, these were just great linemen. So, and I'm not even necessarily worried about their specific position. They're just going to fit on this line perfectly. It don't even matter to me. Like, it's going to work just fine. So that's my next pick, Van Horn right there.
Man, all right, man, it's coming down to the wire here. It's getting tougher and tougher, that's for sure. So I'm looking here, and I think that my next pick here, I got one side of the offensive line, good. We're ready to roll. I got to work on this other side now. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take Logan Osborne. You want to talk about just a stud, somebody that loves Marshall, local kid again from Cabell Midland High School, 6'3", 306 pounds. I'm going to insert him right next to Doug Legursky there at the other guard position. 2024 Campbell Trophy nominee, 2024 All Sun Belt Conference first team offensive line. I mean, the guy, his resume just speaks for himself. He's smart too. I'm looking at his statistics here. Had a 3.75 GPA. You don't want no dumb offensive lineman up there. So absolutely, that's good stuff. I like him, and he sticks close to the program too. So even better. It just kind of endears him a little bit to me. So I like him. Now, I got to find another tackle, and this is where we're going to be able to put all these pieces together. And this is tough. Because you could pick a Will Umer, you could pick Alex Locklear. Oh, man, this is tough. I think what I'm going to do is this, another current guy, and man, he's really somebody that I think is going to make some noise at the next level professionally, too, before it's all said and done. A guy that had every reason in the world to leave our program a couple of years ago. His entire team did. His coaching staff did, but for whatever reason, he said, "Hey, listen, I'm not leaving this place. It's my home." And so I will honor that, and not just honor that decision, but man, he's just a fantastic player. This is our captain. This is a guy that our entire program right now looks to as a leader. I'm going to take Jalen Slappy to round out my offensive line there at the other tackle position and really hold it down. So I think that we're going to be able to run the ball on both sides of that line. I think we're in good business there with Brendan Knox. I like it. I like the looks of this. And that's where I'm going with Jalen Slappy.
That's a great pick. And I probably would have picked him next, honestly. That was a great player for us right there. As far as my last lineman, this is one of those instances where, again, I'm talking about how this might not be like technically, like they might not play the position that they played originally, but I can't. I guess another guy that's another just worthy all-timer for us, I think. Mike Selby. I mean, he was just a phenomenal lineman for us. Center. He ended up playing center and played it very well, but I don't care where you put him on that. Like, I like my chances. I like my chances because they were, again, this is part of some very, very potent offenses that these guys were big, strong, physical, could move. That was one of the things I think that, we don't necessarily, it kind of got not talked about enough, is the fact that a lot of these guys were super athletic. To be as big as they were, very athletic guys. So that's who I got to roll with there as my last lineman. You could put him at tackle, you could put him at guard, you could put him at center. I don't care. Like it's fine. Like any of these guys at any of those positions, I can live with it. So that rounds out the offenses. I mean, those are some, man, tell you what, those are some tough lineups right there. I mean, I wouldn't want to go against either one of those teams. I'll tell you that. But looking at now to switch it over to defense, we got to start with the defensive line, which again, we've had a lot of great players, a lot of great talent from this position. And am I starting this?
Okay. Yes, you are.
Okay, because it's a tough one. I still haven't even totally like settled on this because we've got so many just legendary players at this position. And of course, you got edge guys, you got middle of the line guys, you got it all. But it would be hard for me to have the first pick on the defensive line and not take Vinny Curry. It just would be tough for me to not take him. So that's who I'm going with. I mean, he's the all-timer for Marshall defensively. At edge, great player. I mean, could rush the passer like nobody's business. Just a physical, big, athletic guy that could just do his thing. I mean, and then what he's given back to Marshall since then is nothing short of spectacular. Just a legendary all-time player, all-time person, all-time ambassador for Marshall. I mean, he just is. So I almost went with somebody else, but I don't know. I can't in good conscience not pick Vinny Curry if I have the chance to pick him here.
Yeah, I don't blame you. He's definitely the most notable, defensive lineman that's ever came out of Marshall, especially around the recent history. So can't blame you on that one. Fantastic player. I'm going to go with somebody that's very similar to Vinny Curry. Again, just graduated a couple years ago. Mike Green. This is probably not a surprise to anybody. Second round NFL pick to my favorite team, the Baltimore Ravens. Led the entire FBS with 17 sacks, and I'll never forget it, man. I mean, he was great every single game, but one of the best games that I think that he ever had in his career was at the highest level against Ohio State. They had no answer for him. I mean, they were double teaming him. They were trying to do everything that they could to stop him, but nobody was able to stop him on that particular day. Now, were they able to stop anybody else on the defense that day? Well, not really, but they couldn't stop Mike Green. So, I'm going to go with him again. 17 sacks, 23 tackles for loss that final season, and also 3 forced fumbles, which is very just out of this world type of number. So, I'm taking him as my defensive edge there. And then I think that I'm going to pick somebody that's a down lineman because, you got to get some beef. You got to get some guys that are big up there on the defensive line. And this is probably no shock to anybody, but whenever I think about one of the best down defensive linemen, I think about Albert McClellan.
Yeah.
Man, the dude was a stud. He played here from 2005, which is just outside of our window, but thankfully he was here 2006, 2007, 2008, and 2009 as well. So, over his career, he had 42 tackles for loss, 21 sacks in the entire career. His best season, he had 11.5 sacks, which is nothing to that's nothing to sneeze at. Again, just 99 solo tackles, 131 assisted tackles. The guy was a monster. I mean, there was hardly anybody that was able to stop him back in those days. And he is another Snyder product. Again, we've talked about this at length before, but it's so weird that Mark Snyder had all of these just great guys would go to the league and play in the NFL, but could not get it together as a team. It just doesn't make sense. But still yet, I'm going to get Albert McClellan there as a down defensive lineman with Mike Green coming off the edge. I think that's a good start to the D-line here.
Oh, yeah. Great start to the D-line. No question. So looking at my next, I guess it'll be my next couple guys. I'm going to start with this is going to be another one of those guys that are forces. That's going to be a force in the middle of that line that he did some stuff. And he was a run stopper and everything else. I'm going to go with James Rouse. He was a phenomenal player for us. Absolutely. Great story. I mean, he literally was, it was crazy how long he was actually at Marshall. He came to Marshall in 2009. That was Mark Snyder's last season. And he was all the way through 2014. He had a couple injury, seasons, and he got a red shirt and he got a medical red shirt and different things like that. And man, those last 2 years, 13 and 14, he really broke out like gangbusters. I mean, you could see how good he got when he was healthy. I mean, he was just a beast. He got a tryout for the NFL. I think it was the Texans right after. I mean, he was a really, really good player for us. No doubt I mean, he was a first team all conference caliber guy. I think he was first team at least once. Really, really good player. And then my other guy I'm going to go with down there, another middle of the line type dude. How about Ryan B? Man, Ryan B was, I mean, he is as tall as a power forward in basketball, 6'7" or 6'8", whatever he was, just giant, man. And I actually I believe he started out initially when he got to Marshall. I think he started out as a tight end. And I was like, that would have been crazy to have seen a guy that big running around at tight end. But obviously he found his position in the middle of that line because he was a great, great player. First team, second team, all conference caliber player again. Just a run stopper, just a big, huge physical presence down there. Great player. So I'll tell you what, it's going to be hard running on this line. I can tell you that with these guys in there.
No doubt. And again, I'm mad at you because Ryan B was my next pick. So I'm back to the drawing board here. Man, looking at this list I've got, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like to give Coach Huff credit. You know that. But we have to. I mean, let's just be honest. We can call it like it is. He wasn't a fit for here. He was a jerk in many aspects, more than one. But the man could coach, and the man could recruit. And we saw some of the best talent that we've ever seen at Marshall whenever he was here. And that's why I'm going to do something that's a little bit, I guess, different because we didn't really even see this guy the last year that he was supposed to be here, and he would end up transferring out and go somewhere else. I'm taking, well, man, this is tough because you could either take this guy or another guy named that I loved. I mean, all Marshall fans loved this guy whenever he was around. Tyquez Legg, man, he was so fun to watch. I just loved him. But I think that this guy was a better defensive lineman, not by a ton, but enough, and that's Isaiah Gibson. The down lineman just is a guy that made himself a physical presence in the center of the line there. It was tough to run it right up the middle. As a matter of fact, most teams could not. And the thing about him, too, that was always impressive was the fact that he would get pressure on the quarterback. And if you know anything about just a down lineman, their main objective is just to more or less be a run stopper. And if they get pressure, that's how you know somebody's really, really good.
Yeah.
And Gibson, whenever he was healthy and whenever he was on, he was able to create pressure almost as good as anybody that we've ever seen. And again, I hate the way that he left. He left with everybody else as the mass exodus took place. I don't agree with it by any means, but still, the man was a physical presence. And so I got to pick him. But then for my other defensive end here to kind of round up my defensive line, this guy was undersized. He did not really make it in the NFL, but man, whenever he was here, you knew he was here, and that is one Owen Porter. One of my favorite players, really, that I've ever seen here at Marshall. I mean, the guy just had an intensity about him. The signature celebration after every single tackle or sack that he had with the gunslinging, man, it was just iconic, something that we'll never forget. And the guy was great. Just a fantastic player. He said some things about the fans at one point that we didn't love as a fan base, but I think maybe it was kind of misconstrued and misunderstood by us at the same time. But, overall, no matter what, Owen Porter's a legend, and he's been around with the program even after Coach Huff has left. So that shows us that he was a very loyal guy, more so to Marshall than anything. And so I loved Owen Porter, and I'm going to have him be that other defensive end to get some pressure and make some plays overall. So, I mean, like you said, I like my defensive line pretty well. I think it's a
Yeah.
stout defensive line, to say the least.
No, it is for sure. I mean, just the fact, seeing Mike Green and Albert McClellan on the same line is like petrifying. And not to mention these other two, just huge, big, physical, strong guys that can push you around. That's intimidating for sure. But as far as my last lineman, I'm going to go to the other side. I mean, if you want to put Vinny on the left edge it doesn't matter, left or right, doesn't matter. But I'm going to go with the other side to close it out with this line. And I'm going to go with a guy that was, when he was on, granted, he was not necessarily as consistent of a pass rusher as we were talking about, like with Vinny or Mike Green or any of those guys. He was not quite to that consistency level. But when he was on, he was really on. Darius Hodge. He was really good, man. I mean, I remember that one game, I think it was 2019 again. I think it was against Old Dominion at home. He had 4.5 sacks in one game. I mean, he was just, when he was on, I'm telling you, he was special. It's just the problem is it wasn't obviously you're not going to get 4 or 4.5 sacks every game. That's not sustainable. But man, he was really good, really athletic. Actually, I think his first breakout game was the 2018 Gasparilla Bowl. I think he was a freshman at that time. He was really good in that game, and after that, everybody knew who he was. He was going to be like, no, maybe that wasn't him. Maybe that was. Well, I remember Channing Haynes as well too. That's another guy that I could have picked. But those lines in those late 2018, 2019 range, Darius Hall, and then he carried over into 2020 with that great defense. So he was a great player. So I think having those two edges out there, Curry and Hodge, is tough for sure. So looking at now my first linebacker, assuming I am picking the first linebacker, right?
Yes.
All right.
Reluctantly.
Well, that's a good way to look at it, because this is another position where we have just absolutely feasted. I mean, we haven't just feasted. We've darn near eaten so much we've thrown up. I mean, this linebacker position, we talked about tight end offensively being maybe the hardest. This is probably the next hardest. I mean, we've absolutely just been unreal at linebacker. But the guy I'm going to go with my first pick, and, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult to pick, because we've had three defensive players of the year conference within the last, 10, 12 years. But the guy I'm going to go with, he's still playing today professionally in the NFL, Neville Hewitt. I mean, he's a great player. Came in as a JUCO transfer there, and man, from 2013 through 2014, there was nobody better defensively than we had. And we had some great players on defense, but he was something else. I mean, 2014 Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year, still playing for the Texans, I think, to this day. I mean, he's just been such a good, consistent player for so long. So that's who I went with my first linebacker, but there's so many other ones that I hope I get the chance to pick later on. I'll just say that.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a good pick. He's a special player. But my first linebacker here, I'm going to go with a friend of the podcast. Had him on just a little while ago. Really future, almost current Marshall Hall of Famer, and that is Thumper, Mario Harvey.
Yep.
Again, he's just going to be able to be my consistent run stopper. The guy that's just going to be able to make a big play whenever you need it. Mario Harvey is that kind of guy. A little bit undersized, don't love that, but overall, just his playmaking ability and his hit power, man. Whenever you get hit by Mario Harvey, I'll just put it this way: if I got hit by Mario Harvey, I probably would end up in the hospital. I'm just going to
easily.
I mean, the guy's crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna choose Mario as my first linebacker here, and then the second guy that I'm picking is another product of the Doc Holliday regime. And a fun fact for the day for you, I actually had class with him whenever I attended Marshall University back in the day. Omari Cobb. I love this guy. I mean, he was a stud, and he was somebody that also brought just a huge physical presence, standing at like 6'4". I mean, he was a big, big dude. I think that also is going to help be able to level out some with Mario Harvey being a little bit undersized. Give me a guy that's a little bit bigger. But obviously he went on to play in the NFL for a couple of seasons. Now playing in the CFL, still playing professional football. So I mean, he is just a guy that I look to as really one of the all-time greats. And I can't go wrong picking old Amari Cobb as my second linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah. He was an absolute force of nature. I mean, you want to talk about another guy. I mean, what was he, like 6'6", I think? I mean, the dude was a giant. The dude was huge. I mean, absolutely a giant. And I think one of the more underrated like players probably in recent memory at linebacker, I think. I mean, he was a great player. But as far as my next two guys that I'm going to close out the linebacker core with, looking at the first one, and this is as soon as I was trying to come up with this list, if this guy was available, I was going to pick him, and he's available. Tavonte Beckett. I cannot pick against Tavonte Beckett. I mean, you want to talk about a workhorse. You want to talk about high energy, high motor. That's Tavonte Beckett. I mean, he was always around the ball, always involved, always into play. It doesn't matter. He had it, man. He came over from Virginia Tech and, didn't really play there. I don't really didn't know the situation there, but man, from 2019 through 2020, when he was still with the Herd, man, he was something. 2020 Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year. Excellent player. I think I know he played professionally in like the USFL or whatever, all that kind of stuff. I know that he played there and, he did some things. He still might be, but he was a great player. And then my last linebacker, there's a lot of other guys that could be in play here, but I picked 2 Conference Defensive Players of the Year so far. I'm going to go with a third. I'm going with Evan McKelvey. He was a really good player for us. I mean, 2015 Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year, and a guy that battled injuries quite a bit. He definitely did, but once he got healthy, when he was healthy, he was an excellent player for us. And that 2015 season was awesome for him. Absolutely great player. He was almost I would almost view him as like a Cam Chancellor kind of talent, like a hybrid, linebacker / second, like almost like he almost could have played like safety or corner. Like he was kind of like a hybrid kind of guy. And I like guys that I really do like players that are real versatile. And you could make the case that all these guys are pretty versatile. I mean, but especially McKelvey, he was really good at that. So that's how I'm going to close out my linebacker group there with 3 Conference USA Defensive Players of the Year. I just had to go ahead and go with a trifecta if I could there.
Well, I guess that's pretty good. You got some Players of the Years, your linebackers. That's not too bad, I guess.
No, not bad.
What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to get a guy. I got 2 physical guys, as 2 of my linebackers here. I need a third one. Mario Harvey's a little, again, like we said, undersized, but hip power's there. You got Amari Cobb, just a dominantly large man. I need somebody that's going to bring a little finesse, and I also need somebody that's going to bring some vocal leadership. And this is really going to be what I'd slot him as my middle linebacker here, and he would be, your signal caller on defense. He would be able to call out the formations and what we need to do, and hey, you move over there, you do this, all that good stuff. And really one of my favorite, defensive players I can remember here at Marshall, Eli Neal.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he brings a little bit of finesse. Not the biggest guy in the world, but was very, very fast. Whenever he did hit you too, it was almost like a sneaky dominance. You wouldn't expect to get hit that hard by a guy of his size, but man, he could. I mean, he could hit you.
Oh yeah,
I'm telling you, he could hit you. So I'm taking Eli Neal, and then after that, it's time to move on to our defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just with every single other position that we've talked about up to this point, there's so much to choose from. I mean, we are not suffering by any means necessary with some of these guys that we could choose from and that we could see here. So as I look at all of these guys, I'm going to choose cornerbacks first. And man, again, as I said, it's really difficult to pick a guy. But I think what I'm going to end up doing here, my first selection at cornerback is going to be Darryl Roberts.
Oh,
I mean, Darryl Roberts is truly just, one of those guys that was a fantastic playmaker, was able to do so much for us back in the day, was one of the key contributing factors to some of the greatest defenses that we have ever seen in all of Marshall history, especially with the Conference USA Championship season. And the guy just was phenomenal. So I like him as being one of my defensive backs here. But as I said a moment ago, man, this is tough because there's so many of these guys that you could look at and be like, man, I want him. But I'm going to start out my defensive backs here with Darryl Roberts.
tell you what, you can't start out really any better than that because he was a lockdown corner. I mean, just part of so many of these guys were just integral, humongous parts of that 2014 team that we always talk about. Like, he was that guy. I mean, he was absolutely one of those guys. Great pick there. As far as my two corners, go ahead, pick two corners here. I think I'm going to go with my first, not necessarily because I think they're any better, but I think I'm going to go with Stephen Gilmore as my first corner. We know, we know what a good player he ended up being. We saw his development over the years, under Doc Holliday and under Charles Huff. And his defining moment, of course, is the pick six against Notre Dame. That's one of the, I don't know, easily 5 best defensive plays in Marshall football history. No doubt about it in my mind. And I'm not just picking it on that. I'm not just picking him because of that. Like, look at his numbers, his career. He was top notch for a long time. Really, really good player for us. Cannot go wrong there with Stephen Gilmore. And as far as my second corner, my second and final corner, I think I'm going to go with, let's go with Mike Abraham. I just, that's the same era, same caliber player. Both guys really, really good for us for a long time. Stayed with us, when you that was starting to be the time when you could have left, but they stayed with us. He was, both of these guys had chances. I think they're still dabbling in the pro ranks and trying to get, playing professionally and different things like that. So yeah, I mean, they're both still really, active players, and they were so good for us. I mean, they were really, really good for us, and you cannot go wrong with either one of these guys. So that's my two corners. I think those are pretty locked down guys there.
No doubt. And it's kind of going back to what I said a moment ago. We can, point our noses up at Huff all that we want, but the man was able to recruit some really, really good players. So, both of those guys makes complete sense. Two of the most the best lockdown corners that we've ever seen. I don't blame you for picking that by any means. Now, looking at my list here of some guys that are left, this is getting tough. This gets tough for me. I am going to say, well, I was doing some research here. Of course, many of you Marshall fans will remember this name, Curtis Keys. Man, the guy was a stud. But I'm trying to look. I'm just looking once again. I don't know if he played in 2006.
I think he did.
He was a little bit before.
He was before, but I think I'm like a 99.9% sure he played in 06 as a senior.
Well, hey, if that's the case, let me look here again, because I'm struggling to find the stats for him in 2006. But I mean, hey, if you're going to allow that, hey, I'm taking Curtis Keys. I just am. That dude was a fantastic lockdown corner. He got to be right at the tail end of the Pruitt era, right into the Mark Snyder era, and I mean, he was an All-American, caliber type player. And this was back in the day too, where Marshall was. I mean, they were pretty notable still, they were kind of like a household name. So Curtis Keys, again, a lot of Marshall fans that are younger may not really understand this, but back in the day, Curtis Keys was one of those guys
Oh man.
that, I mean, everybody would have been talking about. So, yes. Okay, I'm going to pick Curtis Keys, and I'm going to be very happy about that right there. So,
I
yeah,
was gonna say real quick, I do have his numbers, and he did play in '06.
great. Wonderful news. Thank you so much. You're helping me. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Now on to the safeties. We got to get two safeties here, and I'm going to get my first one. Same type of deal here. We've had so many great safeties, but I do believe that there's one guy that just kind of stands out among the rest of them. Really had a fantastic NFL career after he would end his Marshall career here, and that is C.J. Spillman.
Yeah.
Again, back in that Snyder era of players where it doesn't make a lot of sense as to why they couldn't bring it all together as a unit. But overall, he was a great, great, great player. Two-time second team All-Conference USA back in the day whenever the Conference USA was really probably the sixth best conference in all of college football. I mean, they just were.
Yeah.
They were top to bottom, just fantastic teams. Just looking at his numbers here, as a senior, had 71 tackles. He finished his college career with 319 tackles, and that's the most tackles by a safety in school history. So I don't know if you get much better than that to start off your safeties. The guy that has the most tackles, I'd say that's pretty good. So I'm going with C.J. Spillman.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. He was a great player for us, absolutely, and played quite a long time in the NFL and did a lot of things. Yeah, great player for us, no doubt. So as far as my two safeties, I'm going with, and you said it. I mean, I'm looking at these guys that I have written down at safety, and it's hard to pick from them because there's a lot of really, really good safeties. A couple of guys that didn't even necessarily last the longest for us, but were great players when they were here. But I think my first pick, I'm going to go ahead and go with. I'm going to go with Nazeeh Johnson. I think he was excellent for us for a long time. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was immediately as a freshman making plays. I mean, think about his freshman year in 2017. He had a pick six against Mike White for Western Kentucky. I mean, he had a pick six and he played for, I don't remember if it was 5 years, but it was at least, no, it was 5 years, 2017 through 2021. Because he got that COVID year and he played every year. I mean, he just kept getting better and better and better. Played for the Chiefs for a while. I don't know if he still is with them or not, but I know he was with them for at least 2 or 3 years. So really, really good player for us. Just kept getting better and better. I mean, he was a walk-on to start. So very, very special to see how that progressed. And then my second safety position player, I'm going to go with a guy that was, I think, one of the most criminally underrated safeties we've ever seen. No doubt in my mind. Taj Letman. He was a great player for us. I mean, back in those days, man, the 2013 through 2015 period where we were rolling and we were really good and we won all kinds of games and championship bowls and all the different things. He was a very key part of that. I mean, defensively, we had a lot of studs back then, but he was always just rock solid, always making plays, always involved, always getting interceptions, he was a great safety for us. And he's a guy that doesn't really get enough respect, I don't think, now compared to like what he should be getting, in my opinion. So that's who I'm going to go with my second safety. And there's so many other choices to pick from, but that's who I'm going to go with just because I feel like he needs a little more recognition there.
Sure. Yeah. Again, you can't really go wrong with these guys that are on our short list. They're all good, but man, I'm struggling now because this is where things get tough. I am going back and forth here for my second safety between two guys, really three. I mean, friend of the show, DJ Hunter, was a fantastic safety. One of the really just legends of Marshall. We love DJ, but I think that I'm going to try and pick between two guys. One of them was only here for one season, and then would eventually go on to play at LSU. I mean, just break out. I mean, the guy
Oh
was
yeah.
unbelievable. Andre Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to just kind of think and tell about what he could have done if he would have stayed. I mean, he probably would have had like 400 tackles that next season because of how well he played at LSU. He was great, but I'm going to go with my heart again. There's one guy that I think really embodies what it means to be a Marshall guy. Grew up in the area, went to Cabell Middle and High School. Actually started his career at Wake Forest, would transfer in and play his final 2 seasons with us. And I remember he posted a picture of himself whenever he was a kid in the stands watching Marshall,
Yeah.
and then he would then go on to play as a actual player at Marshall. And man, he wouldn't just play on be on the team, but he'd make an absolute impact. And
Uh-huh.
that is J.J. Roberts.
Yeah.
J.J. was one of the hardest hitting guys that I ever remember. And he was tough. I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but there was that one play where, he went in and he got hurt really bad. I mean, he
Yeah.
got stretchered off, and they had to, take his helmet off, like, in a weird scenario. Thought that I was honestly in the stands thinking, like, dude, he might be paralyzed.
Yeah.
But the guy just literally, got it together and played the next week. Unbelievable. I mean, the guy was so tough. Again, as I said, if that would have happened to me, I think I would have died.
Right.
but
Right.
but he just, no big deal. I'm gonna suit up next week as if almost nothing happened. So he's a tough guy. He's a Marshall guy and somebody that will always be fondly remembered. And I got to go with J.J. Roberts for my second safety. And now we move on to the special teams. And
Yes.
this is where things get weird because special teams players are weird. Let's just go ahead and call that like it is. They're just strange people. There's two guys that come to mind whenever we talk about kicker and punter. And I wish I could get them both, but I can't get them both. So I have to pick one. I'm not going to tell you the other one, but it doesn't really matter because you know it, and you're probably going to pick whoever I don't pick here. I am going to do it's tough. It's very, very tough. I'm gonna take as my punter first. I'm gonna take Vedvik.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna take Vedvik, and I mean, I think that those of you that remember Vedvik from back in the day, the name speaks for himself. He could punt the ball 100 yards. He really could. Anytime that he wanted to, he could pin you deep. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's got like the longest punt in all of Marshall, maybe in all of NCAA history, that went like 99 yards.
It was. Yeah,
just unbelievable stuff. So I loved watching Vedvik. He's probably my favorite kicker. He would do the kickoffs too, and so you could just go ahead and mark it down. It's going in the end zone about 20 yards deep. Just crazy, unbelievable stuff. So I'm choosing him, and I'm gonna put him at the punter position. Oh, I may regret that because I'm gonna struggle with another kicker, but maybe not. You go ahead and pick your kicker, and we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or wrong.
All right, man. I mean, Vedvik was just was.
Yeah, but you go with you're on special teams now, right? I'm sorry.
I'm on. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was just making sure.
Yeah. No, I was gonna have my kicker and my punter since Good. But man, Vedvik was something else. He was kickoffs, field goal kicking, and punting. He did that in 2017. I mean, he was special player. So as far as my field goal kicker, I am going to go with, there's three guys I wrote down here, and it's not as easy as you think, but I got to go with Orkin Quinn. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's another one that you'll probably pick after that, but like, I know he's still playing and he went to Alabama and he's not here anymore, but like what he did last year was enough. That was enough for me to say this guy needs to be picked. I mean, he was unreal, the stuff he could do from that position. And then as far as my punter, two really solid guys I have written down, excluding Vedvik because you already picked him. But the guy I'm going to go with for punter was very lethal. He won us, I would go as far as say he won us multiple games by himself. Tyler Williams was a stud. I mean, absolute stud at punter. One game that comes to mind is that UAB game in 2014 where we were playing them and they had us down. We were 10-0. They had us down. We were really struggling mightily. Tyler Williams pins them inside the 1, and then we get a strip sack touchdown, win the game. So that, and then I think of other instances where the 2013 Military Bowl, he pins them, I think it was at least 3 times, maybe more than that, inside the 10 or inside the 5 against Maryland. I mean, just this guy was so good. And I don't think he gets enough respect either, like all time for Marshall Punter. So that's who I'm going to go with right there.
Man, I'm so glad you did that because the other guy that I wanted, I'm shocked. I mean, again, Lorcan Quinn was so good, and I understand that. But I got to pick for kicker the man who had ice water in his veins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy was unbelievable. Justin Rossweiler, just a guy that, oh, man. The Western, again, everybody's mind, whenever you think about Justin Rossweiler, that Western Kentucky game where they tried to ice him, right? You remember that? And then he re-kicks it, bam, right down the middle. No problem, no issue. Kisses the sky. Wonderful. So, yeah, I got Justin Rossweiler and Vedvik. I'm shocked because I got both the guys that I wanted. That's awesome. That's great for me. But, hey, your guys aren't no slouches either. So, I guess now we're down to the finals here. And so we're down to kick returner and punt returner. And, man, whenever I start to think about all of these guys, too, that's another very tough thing. I'm going to do something here. I've gone back and forth because there's a lot of guys on here that I like a lot. I'm going to do first and foremost a kick returner. And I'm not going to go with this guy based only off of his numbers kick returning alone. It was decent. It wasn't like anything all-inspiring by any means. But I'm going with this guy to put him on this team for just his overall talent and ability alone. So I'm going to go with Darius Marshall as my kick returner. Again, looking at his numbers, he was definitely a better running back than he was a kick returner. Only one kick return for a touchdown. But he did average about 25 yards per return. And in 2008, whenever he was a sophomore, he had 790 yards kick returning. So, I mean, that's nothing to be upset about by any means. So, yes, I'm going to pick Darius Marshall as my kick returner. Again, not based off just the numbers alone, but just the talent and who that player is. If you would just take him and say, all right, you focus only on kick returning and nothing else, I tell you what, he probably would have been able to break some records. I mean, he was a very talented guy. So I'm going to go Darius Marshall.
He was I would go as far as say a very, very underrated kick returner because I was just watching some old Marshall stuff just the other day. And yeah, the kick return for a touchdown you're talking about came in 2007 against UAB. And he took that thing all the way back. And then there was many, many other times through those years where he almost took it back. I mean, he was really good. Very underrated kick returner. I mean, I understand why you're not going to keep him. Like maybe they didn't keep him back there as long because he's like your star workhorse running back. Like I get that. But, man, he was really good at that. So as far as my kick returner and my punt returner, my kick returner, I have to go with a guy that especially 2023, he had an All-American season at kick returner, Jaden Harrison. I mean, he was so good. Had more. It was more than just that year, but that year especially was absolutely special. I remember he had a kick return for a touchdown in 2021 against FAU, I believe. I mean, he had multiple. I didn't look it up, but he's had multiple kick return touchdowns. I don't know what his career return yards is, but it's like per return, but it's got to be high, very high. He ended up going to Notre Dame, and that's another guy that got on the scene. And then because of that, he went to Notre Dame for a year after that. Just a really, really good player. I mean, he was wide receiver, played receiver, but very much more lethal in the kick return game. And then as far as my punt returner, I could not do a specialist list justice if I did not put DeAndre Reeves on here, because DeAndre Reeves could do it all. He had kick return touchdowns. He at least one or two. He had punt return touchdown, at least one or two. So I would have been happy with him on either one of these positions. He was a 2015 special teams player of the year in the Conference USA. So really, really good player for us. Good receiver, especially, but especially as a specialist, as a returner. So that's how I'm going to close out the specialist there.
You picked my guy. I was hoping that he'd be able to fall through the cracks. That's tough. Oh, I am in trouble. So just looking here, I got one more pick left. I mean, I'm going back and forth. Talik Keaton was a very special player. I mean, very underrated. He got injured and whatnot, but whenever he was healthy, I mean, he was dangerous. He would take. There's multiple times where I remember he almost took it all the way to the house and definitely flipped the field for us and got some momentum and some big things behind. I think of another guy from back in the day, Andre Booker.
Yep.
Again, another electric guy, just very, very fast, and it was a fantastic kicker and punt returner as well. So I'm picking between both of them because they're the guys that come to my mind first. And I'm going to go with Talik Keaton. The healthy Talik Keaton was a very, very solid option, was very quick, was able to make some electrifying plays. And again, just in recent memory, maybe it's just recency bias and Andre Booker was better, but in my mind recently, he was somebody that was a game changer whenever he was out there returning kicks and whatnot. So that's how I'm going to end up and round up my list here at punt returner. Give me Talik Keaton.
Now, it's a great one. I mean, he was a two-time first team all Conference USA punt returner. So nothing to sneeze at. I mean, very, very good at that position. He did have some health issues, and that really affected him, especially as a receiver. But he made some plays when he was – I mean, he did. He made a lot of plays. So very good player there at punt returner. So with that being said, that concludes the entire list. I know we talked about a long snapper. I don't know if you still want to do that or not, but I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention a couple, like, you know, Matt Sincata, Matt Beardall, those type guys, really good players, but we don't have to, but like they were very important for the special teams. I'll just say that much. We don't have to pick, but I'm going to at least give a couple guys a shout out there.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, I'm going to be honest, I'd struggle finding, because whenever you're a long snapper, you do your job, ain't nobody going to talk about you. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's how you know you're good.
Right.
So it's tough for me to kind of come to my mind at this moment, some long snappers. This is tough for me.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, I mean, it's that's one of those positions where if it's if you're if you're not going to get any praise for when you do good, but if you're struggling and there's issues, you're going to know about it real quick. So yeah, it was important that we had guys that were good at that for a long time. So before we totally close the book on it, this is what normally happens a lot during drafts and things. Is there any kind of position or trade that you would want to do? If there's is there anything that you just think, man, I feel like we need to try to strike up a deal here for a couple of guys. If not, it's fine. But if you want to mull over that for a minute, I'm open to a trade possibility.
I'm looking. I got your team out here too. If I could, I'll tell you what my weakness would probably end up being. I'd like to have a slot guy that was a little bit quicker. I know that DeMarcus Lacey was fast, but I'd just like to have a little quickness there, maybe. But I don't know, man. I do like my team. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing to ask me right off the bat here. I don't know. How about you?
I mean, if not right now, maybe maybe later on. But I think I'm. I don't think I would. I don't think I need to trade anybody.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
I mean,
I'm good with my team. We'll see. We'll let the public choose. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, really, definitely. I mean, these teams are stacked. I mean, you got a nice blend of guys from the Snyder era through the Holiday era, through the Huff era, and even some guys with the Tony Gibson era. I mean, you got a nice blend here of a lot of really good players. And I think that if you put these teams up against a lot of other teams, they would beat them. I just do. I think there's a lot of really good players, really underrated players that don't get enough attention, and I'm glad we're kind of bringing that to light here because we got a lot of studs on these teams. So I'm excited to see how social media and how the fans kind of talk about this. I know we've done things in the past where we've done graphics about our teams that we pick and different stuff like that, and this was a little bit different. A lot more players you're having to pick from, a lot more, all that. So it's going to be interesting to see what people think, especially on, Twitter and Facebook and all that. So make sure you're on our Twitter account and our Facebook account and, that you're keeping up with what we got on here because these graphics will come out whenever, we put the episode on and all that. So with that being said, that's it. Unless you got anything else to add, any kind of final thoughts, we're just going to keep ratcheting into football season. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of fun stuff coming up.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, this was a tough thing to do. It really was because we've got so many great players and throughout our history here at Marshall. And, making these lists, just looking at all the history and all these guys that were in contention to be on our teams, it just shows us that we are very lucky to be able to have seen the success and to be able to have seen the guys move on to the next level as well. So it's just another great day to be a Marshall fan is what I'm trying to get at. Very thankful that we are a part of the Herd family. And hopefully here in the next couple of seasons, we can have some even more guys that we could add to this. And we'll have to do a whole other draft because they've been so good. I think that'd be a great problem to have.
I was going to say the exact same thing. And I think in the next 2-3 years or beyond, we're going to be having a lot more guys from this Gibson era that are going to be on this list. I almost could have picked Boogie Trotter. I mean, just from what he did last year. Yeah. I mean, he was on the short list for sure. So, yeah, I mean, you got a lot of guys out there that you could have picked just from last year, last 2 years or whatever. So, looking forward to seeing what we have moving forward for future lists and drafts. But with that being said, that's it. That's what we got. Hopefully you all enjoy the episode and make sure that you let us know. We maybe do a poll or something on there. I don't know what we'll do, but that you'll be able to let us know which of these teams you like best, what you think would, is the better team or would win the more games or whatever the case is. So we look forward to hearing all that interaction. So thank you all for listening and we will catch y'all next time.